Welcome to the ISS of BC video tutorial on completing a travel document application. Please note that this guide is for protected persons and convention refugees aged 16 or older. There is a separate travel document application for individuals under 16 years old. Please note that for this application, you are required to submit your original Notice of Decision from the Immigration Refugee Board. For this reason, we recommend that you send your application via courier or registered mail so that you can track your package. IRCC will return your original Notice of Decision by registered mail. Finding the application form. On Google, type Travel Document for Protected Person. Click on the first result under www.canada.ca. Click on Apply for a Travel Document. Scroll down and download the form PPTC 190. Open the form from the folder where it is saved using the latest version of Adobe Reader. For Section 1, start by selecting Unknown under Anticipated Date of Travel. It is strongly recommended that you do not make travel plans prior to receiving your travel document. Enter your personal information starting with your last name, first name, and UCI number. If you have had a different last name in the past, such as a maiden name, include it on the following line. Next, add your mother's maiden name. Write down the city and country of birth and include the province, state, or territory if applicable. Next, add your date of birth in the demonstrated format. Enter your physical details including gender, eye color, and height. Add your current address in the section below. You only need to fill out the mailing address information if it is different from your current residential address. After adding your telephone number and email address, skip ahead to Section 3. We will come back to signing the declaration and Section 2 later. Under Section 3, select Notice of Decision issued by the Immigration and Refugee Board of Canada. Enter your UCI number under Immigration Status Document Number. Add the date of issue of your Notice of Decision in the following space. This will be on the bottom of your Notice of Decision next to the registrar's signature. There is no expiry date. Under Section 4, you will most likely be selecting No. If you have had a Canadian travel document issued to you in the past, you will need to enter the number and date of issue here. Moving on to Section 5. Enter your country of citizenship. If you are a citizen of more than one country, select Yes and write the country on the line below. Indicate whether you have had any travel documents or passports from a country other than Canada. If you have had a passport from your country of origin that was seized by IRCC, select Yes and write a brief explanation below. Select No for the following question. Since you are applying for a travel document, you would not have been able to visit another country prior to receiving this document. Select No for the question about applying for a passport or travel document from your country of origin. Moving on to Section 6. You must include information for 2 identity documents. Write down what type of document you are using under Type of Document. Some examples of valid identification documents include a BC ID, a BC driver's license, a refugee protection claimant document, and a work permit. Enter the document number, date of expiry if applicable, and your name as it appears on the document. Skip past the Signature of Applicant field for now and move on to Section 7, Additional Personal Information. If you have lived in more than one address in the past 2 years, select Different from Current Home Address and enter all of the different addresses where you have lived for the past 2 years in the space below. If you run out of space, you can write down the remaining addresses on a separate piece of paper. Sign, date, and attach the separate paper to this form. Moving on to Section B. Check all the boxes that apply and then enter your complete occupation history from the past 2 years in the columns below. Enter the employer or school name, or if you were doing something else under the employer, school, or other column. Then, enter the address, telephone number, field of study, or employment, and the dates which you were doing this activity. Be sure not to leave any gaps in time. If you were unemployed, you must include the information in the columns. If you run out of space, you can write down the remaining occupation history on a separate piece of paper. Sign, date, and attach the separate paper to this form. Section 8. References. You must include 2 references for Section 8. References cannot be a relative or your guarantor. Your guarantor is separate from your references and must fill out a different section that we will cover later. Your references must be 18 years of age or older. They must have known you for at least 6 months. Add their last name, first name, and relationship to you on the first line. Next, add your reference's address and postal code, followed by their phone number and email address. Indicate the number of months your reference has known you. Repeat these steps for your second reference. Section 9 is completely optional. If you would like to include an emergency contact, enter their information here. Skip past the signature of applicant for now and move on to paying the fees. For payment, you can either pay online or enter your payment information under Section D of your application form. For payment online, go back to the web page where you downloaded your form. Scroll down to Section 4, Pay Your Fees. Click on Find out how much your application will cost and how to pay. Click on Pay My Fees Online. Select Passports and Travel Documents from the drop-down menu. Click on See the List of Fees and then click on Travel Documents. Enter the number of adult travel documents you are applying for, then click Submit. Click the I'm not a robot checkbox and then log in. If you do not have an account, you can click Register and create your account. Enter your payment information and submit. Be sure to save and print your receipt. You must include your receipt with your application if paying online. Go through the requirement checklist under Section B to make sure you have included all the required documents and information on your application. When you are ready, print your form and move on to the declaration section on page 1. You must use a pen for the remainder of the application. Write your signature within the border as demonstrated on page 5, section 6 of the application form. This is important as your application will be sent back if you write into the gray area of the box. Enter the date, city, and province in the section below. Move on to the Signature of Applicant box on the bottom of pages 2 and 3, and be sure to write your signature and add the date. Guarantor. After you have signed and printed all 3 pages, you must have a guarantor complete 3 tasks. A guarantor must be a Canadian citizen or permanent resident who has known you for at least 6 months. The guarantor must be a member of one of the guarantor occupations seen on page 6, section I of the application form. If you choose to use a notary public as your guarantor, contact your settlement worker prior to making your appointment with the notary. The guarantor must complete the following 3 tasks. 1. Complete and sign the Declaration of Guarantor on page 1, section 2 of the form. 2. Write, I certify this to be a true likeness of, followed by your name on the back of one of your passport photos and sign it. 3. Sign and date a copy of each identification document that you are including in your application. All of the detailed steps required for the guarantor are outlined on page 6, section I of the application form. Once completed, submit your application by courier or registered mail. If sending by courier, you must send to the Gatineau, Quebec address seen on page 5, section E. If sending by registered mail, use the Ottawa address highlighted on the same page. If you have any travel document application questions that were not covered in this guide, please contact your settlement worker.